At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
And I am Anthony Sier, and a pleasant welcome to yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. Welcome. How you doing? And welcome to the broadcast. Of course, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are happy to be here with you, and we want to say thank you ever so very much for taking your time to be here to follow this broadcast. We continue to announce that Facebook has restricted our viewership, and so we can only ask you to do us a favor by sharing this broadcast while we go into today's discussion. So, folks, something happened on Sunday, and there was this huge expectation that was built. It was built so much so that Liberians across the world, they were hoping for a message that will bite from Senator Prince Johnson of Nimba County. And Prince Johnson delivered the sermon though. but not what people were expecting. And so there is so much mixed feelings, mixed reactions from people everywhere in the Liberian community, everywhere. And we have been paying attention, and we have heard from so many people, and we thought to do an analysis so that all of the things that have been said, we can try to simplify them and get a better understanding. You know, as a media institution, focus on Liberia. We are about educating. We are about elevating the disco of Liberia. And we are about promoting the image of our country, Liberia, and the people of Liberia when they do well. And so this is about time that those who follow us hear from us as a media institution what we've heard from everybody, most so from Senator Prince Johnson himself, because we have to analyze what he said, and based on what he said, what people are saying. Isn't it somehow frustrating, for lack of a better word, to see that this nation, Liberia, is in anticipation of anything from Senator Prince Johnson, that we are looking for leadership as a country. We know who our current leaders are. We know the responsibilities that they are charged with constitutionally to move our country forward. Something that we should be holding their feet to the fire. We expect them to deliver. Senator has serious responsibilities. President has serious responsibilities. All officials of government have serious responsibilities. And we cannot as well forget about us as citizens, irrespective of what role we play. Be just an ordinary citizen who vote, be, say, a media person whose business is to educate and inform the society, be a student who must be conscious of what is unfolding in the country so that they can make better decisions for themselves and the nation when they are given the opportunity. We all have a shared responsibility. But constitutionally speaking, when it comes to the stewardship and the governance of the state, the nation Liberia, it is entrusted in a power we call government. So there are individuals in government who are supposed to do or constitutionally mandated or obligated or required to do certain things so that our country can not only be respected, but can function, progress, and most so develop. Senator Prince Johnson is now a pastor. President George Manawia is now a pastor too. Should we be hearing from them from the pulpit as elected officials of our country? But this is what it has come to. The president we are. I'm not suggesting in any way that he only speaks from the pulpit or from his church, but this has become his routine, that he will use the church to not preach the word of God, but to preach politics. And Prince Johnson too has been on this path, to not use the pulpit to preach the word of God, but will find every opportunity to speak on national issue or just to talk politics. And of recent, President Weah and Prince Johnson have been going back and forth. Prince Johnson has said many things in the past. We remember Prince Johnson talking about the 2023 election will be rigged. I don't know where he came up with that. He said that few years ago now. At some point, Prince Johnson said, well, the military will be divided. Sometimes you wonder, where is Prince Johnson getting these kind of thoughts from? And Prince Johnson is also on record for criticizing this government, criticizing the president, and he has been talking. But this is the very president that he endorsed in 2017 during the election. He raised a hand in my county. He campaigned for him, and Prince Johnson won. And President Weah won. And so to see the both of them going back and forth, the reason might be obvious. According to Prince Johnson, President Weah is not serving well. They had an agreement when he supported President Weah, and President Weah is now fulfilling his side of the agreement. That is one reason Prince Johnson is doing all of this. And according to him, so that's what he said. But let us talk about Prince Johnson's sermon. I just wanted to give you a picture of, where we're coming from to be where we are right now. So now that I've given you a little background, Prince Johnson's recent sermon is actually what I'm doing today. So as you can see, analysis of Senator Prince Johnson's recent sermon. And I'm going to analyze his recent sermon on this question of trust, because we hear many people saying, or some people are saying Prince Johnson cannot be trusted. Is that true that Prince Johnson cannot be trusted? Has Prince Johnson never been trusted before? So let's go to Prince Johnson's sermon, because this is where the discussion is. I don't want to dwell more on the past. So Prince Johnson last Sunday, after he had accused President Weah of not leading the country well, also accused the government that the government has taken away $7.5 million belonging to the people of Nimba. He also alleged that there was an assassination attempt on the part of the government or from folks, individuals within the government, or because Senator Prince Johnson has now decided that he will no longer politically support the re-election of President Weah. And the reason he has chosen to do this is, number one, the government is not giving the people of Nimba their money. He talked about auditors being killed, no accountability. He talked about President Weah now fulfilling his part of the agreement that they reached when he supported now President Weah in 2017. So for all these reasons, he's not supporting President Weah, and so because of that, they want to assassinate him. So in his recent sermon last Sunday, Prince Johnson preached on the theme, do not allow your past, or people should not be judged by their past. That was what he said was his theme, or that was his theme. So in preaching, some of the things we pick up, Prince Johnson said, for example, God always used himself as an example of how God can change people who have a past. For example, killers, people who killed in the past, and God has changed them and God is using them. He also, he went on and talked about Montefiore, the late Montefiore that we all heard about. According to Prince Johnson, just like him, who others saw as a killer, and has been changed and is not a new person and should not be judged by his past, so was Monodukle, who, according to him, was preparing girls for prostitution in Liberia until God arrested her and she became a new person and started doing new things or good things in Liberia. And today, everyone, I can't say everyone, most people in Liberia, or some people in Liberia, uh, can talk good about how a good servant Monodukle was. There were so many prophecies and all that people called her. Now, the very Prince Johnson, who said that people should not be judged by their past, like him, like Monodukle, and that they have changed and now doing good things, in no time tried to undermine his own message. And Prince Johnson started talking about other people's past. How ironic, right? For example, Prince Johnson said that Siri Allen, who is the governing council chairperson of the Coalition for Democratic Change, who is from the MPP, who was Charles Taylor. He was also chairman of the National Patriotic Party at some point. Prince Johnson, when start talking about how Siri Allen called him, Prince Johnson, a tribalist, and that everything Prince Johnson has done, has been driven by tribalism. He says Siri Allen is, was the one who advised Charles Taylor. He was the strategist behind all of the things Charles Taylor did. For example, he said it was Siri Allen who advised Charles Taylor to kiss Jackson Doe, Duopo, and Doki. So here is Prince Johnson, who is telling Liberians that he's a new person and that any person who is a new person should not be judged by their past, and that he's doing good things now. Now, this is Prince Johnson, who had already built this expectation that he was ready and set to double down on his attacks on President Weah. He had already said a lot, and President Weah came and fired back in his own church. President Weah now called Prince Johnson a killer, an extortionist, and Prince Johnson is saying all of the things that he had to say against President Weah and his government because Prince Johnson want money. So President Weah came and said, I'm not going to give him a penny. He's a killer. He's an extortionist. He can't be trusted. So Prince Johnson, knowing who people gonna think they know him to be, felt that he would be able to respond because the rebuke and the response that came from President Weah was, reasonably strong. And Prince Johnson being, quote unquote, a brave man who would not back down, people were in high expectation that he would not hesitate but to respond and even double down on President Weah. So last Sunday, Prince Johnson Church was filled. Media personnel were all there to cover it all. And that's the reason from the very beginning of this presentation, I said, how did we get here? That as a nation, we are in anticipation of what Prince Johnson will say in a church. The nation, news men and women were in anticipation of what Prince Johnson will say. As though Prince Johnson was about to deliver a message that sets a policy direction for our country. As though Prince Johnson was planning or trying to say something that will bring about a paradigm shift in our country. As though Prince Johnson is this serious leader that the nation must hear from. The nation must hear from at a time when the nation is looking for a genuine sense of direction. I mean, that is how it was. And that's what I said. I mean, how frustrating this can be. What actually, I mean, the people expect from Prince Johnson that he will say that will be so meaningful that the young people of Liberia can take something from, that can be an inspiration to them. I don't know what was it. Why was that expectation so, built and anticipated? Why? When we all knew, or more than likely we knew, it was Prince Johnson has built the expectation of to respond and double down on just the very accusation he has, been offering us. Things that will not move our country in any place whatsoever. Why do we now know that Prince Johnson is going to tell us? And we all know Prince Johnson for what he is and has been. And yet, is it just a curiosity of just hearing negativity? Is it something that we enjoy as a country? Is it our country we don't have anticipation of inspiration that would drive our nation in the positive direction? What is this thirst? In some of us, and I may be tempted to say in most of us, for what Prince Johnson would say. What will we do with it? What can we learn from it? How does it benefit us as a people? And so the huge anticipation and expectation was built. Front Page Africa, all the big media institutions in Liberia, they were all in Prince Johnson's church. And everybody wanted to hear from this man. And they thought he was going to double down and head back hard on the president and the government for what he, Prince Johnson, knows to be the truth against this government. And what would that have done for us? And opposition folks also started trying to say, okay, Prince Johnson is now about to see the light. I mean, that's what they were trying to, that's the message they were trying to get to us. Prince Johnson now has seen the light. What is the light here? What light? That Prince Johnson is going to criticize President Weah? Is that the light? How does that help our nation moving forward? So what I see here is people with political interests are sensitive to the fact that wherever Prince Johnson goes, more than likely that side gets the presidency. In 2005, second round, Prince Johnson supporter Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will become president. 2011, second round, Prince Johnson supporter Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will become president. 2017, second round, Prince Johnson supported George Weah will become president. And so, those who proclaim that they care about accountability, when it comes to who becomes president, the issue of accountability is through the window. They don't care anymore. Prince Johnson has become the gold standard of Liberia. Prince Johnson is the one who decides who becomes Liberia's president. That is the impression these people are giving us. Is that a reality? More than likely, it has been a reality, evident by the 3 different presidential elections that I told you about. Is it a good reality for us as a country? It is you to think about it and put some thoughts in it. So, what people expected Prince Johnson to have said, he did not say it. So, can he be trusted? Has he ever been trusted by anybody, but by any group of people in our nation history, or in our nation, to put it right? Has Prince Johnson been trusted before? There are some that say, well, Prince Johnson can be trusted. Is that true, that Prince Johnson cannot be trusted? Let's look at some things here for the analysis. Let us get to the meat of the analysis. So, Prince Johnson. And now, after Prince Johnson did not say what was anticipated, at the end of that message, Prince Johnson ended by saying, the Council of Churches talked to him. Folks in the ECOWAS community talked to him. And so what he had planned to say, he did not say so. Prince Johnson. They want some see to be a brave man. They want others see to never back down. Now it's saying some people talk to him, so he decided not to say what he had planned to say. But today, we here focus on Liberia have not been able to verify and cannot independently confirm. There is a piece of write-up that is going around that people are alleging has been written by Prince Johnson. Now, let me emphasize, we have not been able to confirm whether or not Prince Johnson is the one who wrote it. But the words expressed in there are things Prince Johnson will say. Now, according to this write-up, Prince Johnson said a lot of things. Prince Johnson alleged that Mr. Allen is linked to the death of a well-known Liberian, including the late FPRC boss Harry Greaves and Sam Doki. According to that writer, Chief Cyril Allen was driven by a strategy that advised MPFL to kill thousands of Liberians, including Sam Doki, Janet Dan, and children that were burned alive during the deadly civil war in Liberia with gasoline. Now, so this is Prince Johnson. This write-up is alleging, people are saying Prince Johnson is one who wrote it. Now, the reason we chose to give a caption that we cannot, because this is the very thing he said in the church concerning Cyril Allen when he accused him, except that this write-up is giving more details. But he mentioned Prince Johnson being a strategist who has advised Charles Taylor to kill others during the time of war. So in the write-up, we see the same things appearing. Could somebody be doing this and putting it in the mouth of Prince Johnson? He also, the communication purportedly written by Prince Johnson is also saying that it was Mr. Allen who also advised the NPF former boss Charles G. Taylor to burn alive Jackson F. Doe and Moses Dopo, among others. You see that? So these are the things that are written in this, and people are saying Prince Johnson wrote those things. Now, why are we talking about this? Because these things have been, all of them have been said in the past by Prince Johnson. For example, the issue of the auditors. Prince Johnson said it before. In fact, of recent, he talked about not believing the government for saying that. Even he mentioned President Weah. He said, President Weah said people were on Broad Street in a car doing men and women business, and that how they got killed or how they died. Prince Johnson said he's not believing it. He even went further by saying those people were killed. In this very write-up, these things, or this is also written in there. So while it's true we cannot independently confirm or verify this write-up, nearly everything mentioned in the write-up are things Prince Johnson have said in the past. So now, let us come to the issue of trust that I want to use as my yardstick to analyze the whole sermon by Prince Johnson. Can Prince Johnson be trusted? Have people trusted Prince Johnson in the past? This is key in understanding Prince Johnson. And before I can go into the analysis, what we are prepared to say is Prince Johnson is unpredictable. Mr. Johnson is unpredictable. That we can say. Now, on the issue of whether or not he can be trusted, you have to ask yourself, what is trust? So let's talk about the issue of trust to understand all that's going on right now. Because with her president, we are saying he will not give Prince Johnson a dime. He's a killer. He's an extortionist. Does it mean that he doesn't trust Prince Johnson? And to some who say Prince Johnson cannot be trusted, what do you mean when you say Prince Johnson cannot be trusted? So let's go into it a little more for us to understand it better here. So when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did political business with Prince Johnson, and you know, maybe you don't remember all the details, I can't pretend to know it all. Prince Johnson and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf have had a past that led to the war and even during the war. And yet, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf sought the political support of Prince Johnson in 2005 election, and Prince Johnson was able to give it. Are you saying Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did not trust Prince Johnson to have dealt with him politically? One would think Ellen Johnson trusted Prince Johnson, that Prince Johnson would be able to fulfill or deliver on his promises or promise. And so Prince Johnson delivered. Ellen became president. 2011, it happened. Ellen again went to Prince Johnson, saw Prince Johnson political blessing again. Prince Johnson offered that political blessing. Ellen will win again. One would think that is trust. Because if Ellen did not trust Prince Johnson to deliver on a commitment made to her, Ellen Johnson would not have gone there in the first place. So for Prince Johnson to have made that commitment to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf twice in the presidential election, and for Prince Johnson to have delivered that led to the election of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf twice, somebody might think that is trust. So I ask the question, to some who say Prince Johnson cannot be trusted, what is trust for you? I am not saying Prince Johnson cannot be trusted. I'm not saying that. I'm only providing an analysis for you to understand and decide. So someone who say, I will do this and you will become president, and the person did that, and it happened, what will you consider that to be? I am not creating any impression that Prince Johnson can be trusted. That is not my job. My job is to explain and analyze instances in Prince Johnson political involvement in our country that happened, and you will be your own judge. So that's another aspect. Another aspect is throughout Ellen Johnson Sirleaf 12 years in power, for the most part, Prince Johnson was the chairman on national security and intelligence in our country. In fact, the United Nations mission in Liberia has some form of deal with Prince Johnson to maintain political and security stability in our country. Prince Johnson, that guy, the United Nations that wanted peace, the United Nations that should be about accountability also. They dealt with Prince Johnson, just as Ellen Johnson Sirleaf dealt with Prince Johnson. The question is, did they not trust him? Or did they trust him to have done that business? And the Prince Johnson live and abide and fulfilled whatever agreement they have reached for stability and peace in Liberia. Did he? That is for you to answer. Now, the man was in the Senate. His colleagues, Liberian citizens or senators, to be elected as chairman on security, national security, and intelligence. You must be elected by your colleagues. 30 senators. Prince Johnson will get majority vote to maintain that consequential leadership position in the Liberian Senate. Again, I beg the question, or I ask the question, was that on the basis of trust or not? Was that on the basis of fear? Was Prince Johnson best suited for that position? Chairman, National Security and Intelligence in the Liberian Senate, a position he held for many, many years until he got sanctioned by the United States government recently for vote trading. Now, another aspect. Prince Johnson, even if I can go a little back, while he was fighting Doe on one hand and fighting Charles Taylor on the other hand, I heard that he was able to meet Doe at some point, and that he was able to talk to some military guys at the barrack at some point. And he won their trust and admiration, and he was able to sway them his way. That's one of the reasons we were able to build some trust between him and Samuel Doe at the time. And that he even manipulated Doe and make him to build some trust with him. And Doe landed at the Freeport, and there where he captured him. And later, as we saw on cameras, he will go to assassinate him or kill him. Did Doe trust him, or were Doe just picking his chances? The AFA guys that he managed to convince, did they trust him, or were they just picking their chances with him? Prince Johnson, like many other leaders in our country, testified at the TRC. He was paid. Yeah, he played a consequential role. Of course, they needed to bring him in. We needed to hear from him. They didn't really believe or trust him based on what he had to say. Maybe that is not a big deal. Let's come to the other one. The people of Nimba County. The people of Nimba County have voted for Prince Johnson 2 times now as senator. Senior senator, by the way. 9 years, 9 years. 9 plus 9 is 18, according to my math. So Nimba County voted for Prince Johnson twice as its senior senator. I mean, as their senior senator, or as its senior senator, yes. Nimba County did that. Did the people of Nimba trust him? So we hear people say Prince Johnson cannot be trusted. What I can say, or what we can say, is the man Prince Johnson is unpredictable. He's unpredictable. Just like people predicted that he would be able to mudsling on Sunday and go in the gutter on Sunday and go after President Weah, he disappointed that. So if, and only if, this write-up, where in the whole write-up he's only questioning President Weah, It said, now that you and the CDC know that I'm a killer. That was the main message in that particular writer. It said, now that you know I'm a killer. When I supported you in 2017, they did not know me as a killer. When we reached a deal, and when I've been supporting you all this time, do you not know me as a killer? That was the main thing Prince Johnson was saying in that writer. One might think that's what he actually intended to say. But that expectation did not come to pass the very day in that church when people expected it. So if this writer is true, Prince Johnson came up with what he wanted to say at the time people did not expect it. Prince Johnson can be unpredictable. So folks, Nimba County has voted for this man. Whoever this man will support, that person will always go to win the presidency. Can he not be trusted? Is he trusted? What is trust for you? So folks, we stopped this far. We hope we were able to provide some analysis for you. And Frank Johnson sermon, I can say to you, if anything that has been consistent about Frank Johnson is the fact that he is unpredictable. In 2011, I am aware that Frank Johnson had promised then Winston Tubman, who was the candidate of the CDC, that he was going to support the CDC, that he was going to endorse Winston Tubman for CDC to win that election of 2011. But hours after that discussion with Winston Tubman and the CDC, Prince Johnson was on BBC, and he announced his endorsement for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will win. Now, someone might ask the question that, oh, he promised this person and he did not do it. Is that trust? But he might have promised Ellen too and he delivered. Is that trust or not trust? So I can only say this man is unpredictable. And this man, in as much as he remains in our body politics, I don't know what people are going to do. You're going to dismiss him? And what should be the way to go forward with Prince Johnson, by the way? Who are our leaders in our country? Do we even care about accountability as a nation? The CDC that, was this hope for the realization of war crime code? They can't talk about war crime code anymore. They have been in this political bed with Prince Johnson. That's on one hand. On the other hand, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf supported the CDC. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has been like the godmother of President we are now. Where are we going with accountability? We are at this point where we are when it comes to accountability, more so when we're talking about war crimes. And it's because actors like Prince Johnson and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they are still around, and they have immersed influence on our current leadership. So what are you going to do about it? So folks, that is my analysis on Prince Johnson's recent sermon. If anything that you can pick from this, I will not hesitate to say the man Prince Johnson is unpredictable. And so if you are a political actor in Liberia, tread cautiously when you are engaging Prince Johnson politically. You can only do it at your own political benefit, as it was in the case with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf twice and George Weah once. Or you can do it at your own peril, as was in the case with the CDC once with Winston Tubman in 2011. So it's Prince Johnson, the senator, the pastor, The guy is unpredictable. We will have to live with Prince Johnson for some time here, folks. I want to say thanks so very much for watching the broadcast. And so Prince Johnson was ironic. He started his sermon talking about he's a changed man, and whatever he did, those things are of the past, and he should be judged now based on what he does. People are calling him moral. People are calling him murderer. And those people who are calling him murderer, they are wrong, because he's not a murderer, he's a changed man now. But this very changed man is talking about the past of others. He's breaking Syrian Allen's past, his role in the war, and that Syrian Allen should be held accountable today on the role he played in the past. But he, Prince Johnson, should be let alone for whatever role he played in the past, because he's a changed man, maybe because he's a pastor. How ironic. So Prince Johnson is only in this, more than likely, for his own political survival and his own political benefit. That is one thing that has remained constant. Whatever Prince Johnson has done politically, it has been about the man, Prince Johnson. He has benefited from the time he entered politics, and he has survived every step of the way. He's still standing tall, and he is standing. And so, more than likely, it's like our political actors don't know how to handle this man. They all want him. But now he has become toxic. If you take him, you might get in bad books with the Americans, because the Americans have sanctioned him, and they have said strongly that anybody doing business with anybody sanctioned by the U.S. government will themselves risk being sanctioned. Maybe that's the reason why the CDC is trying to push back. But it might be a game, because how could Prince Johnson somersault and chicken out on his onslaught against the president, and now he's not saying anything? He's saying council of churches and ECOWAS talk to him. Is he not his own man anymore? Does he not have his political basket of nimba to trade? And what does it say about those who have been doing business with Prince Johnson in the first place? Now, Prince Johnson has been sanctioned by the Americans, accused of selling votes for money in our country and in our election. Basically selling votes or selling the elections to people for his own financial benefit. So Prince Johnson has been selling a product, votes from Nimba County, political capital that he has. That's why he's been trading. There has been buyers, though. Ellen has been a customer. President Weah became a customer. I believe he stayed a customer. And there are a lot of politicians who would rather be a customer of Prince Johnson. The very opposition that we have today, when Prince Johnson started mudslinging, they were like, hey, Prince Johnson. Some of them even many of them even went to Prince Johnson church that day. In fact, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings trusted Prince Johnson to the point that he gave or donated 25,000 United States dollars. And we will not stop mentioning this because it's just a fact. He gave or donated 25,000 United States dollars to Prince Johnson for school. You must have trusted Prince Johnson to provide quality education for our people in Liberia. So to those who say, or some who say Prince Johnson cannot be trusted, Alex Cummings is a businessman who sought to donate 20,000 to somebody for education in our country, a Prince Johnson for that matter. He must have trusted him. He must have trusted him. Does he still trust him? Now, David Prince Johnson, we shouldn't forget also the Ghana Accord, if I'm not mistaken. when we saw the picture of Alice Cummings and other folks in the opposition holding hands, many of you have seen that picture. I don't know if we have it in here. I always try to keep it in here. Let me see. Okay, I took it from here. It's not here. When they all held hands holding Prince Johnson, that was when the opposition was going against the Unity Party. I believe that was Joshua in that picture. Alice Cummings was in the middle. Prince Johnson was right there. Who else was there? Maybe Bronsky or Benny Nayure also in that picture. They did not trust him. How you do business with somebody you don't trust? So Prince Johnson might be around for some time because the political leaders we have, they are like, they can't be president without Prince Johnson. And when Prince Johnson gave you that vote, when you become president, you must protect Prince Johnson. It's an example. He could do anything and everything to bring the war crime, but he can't because Prince Johnson supported him. And so Prince Johnson's support was based on protection for him. Just as Ellen Johnson's support to President Weah was based on protection for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That is why officials accused of corruption in Ellen government, despite the others reports being in the hands of our government. Order does not mean that somebody is guilty. It's a verification mechanism to tell whether a wrong was done. And when that wrong is done, then it can be verified in the court of competent jurisdiction to establish the facts. So as they can be accountable and a deterrent can be put into place so that the vicious cycle of corruption cannot continue to become or continue to go on as this culture in our country. That is the right thing to do. But that has not been done because a political support was given in exchange for protection. So we don't have leaders who can compete for the right thing, win, and do the right thing for our people. So Prince Johnson is going to be around. Their ride may be going on for some time. I don't want to take much of your time. Thank you. I hope you understand that this business that Prince Johnson has been in, there are buyers. And when you want to buy a product, for those of you who drink Coca-Cola, more than likely you trust the Coca-Cola company. That's why you buy Coke to drink all the time. For me, my favorite water is Aquafina. I trust the manufacturer. That's why I buy Aquafina water to drink all the time. Most of you trust Focus on Liberia. That is why you listen to us all the time. You follow us, you share our show. Because more than likely you believe that we do things in a way that is befitting your time. And that the information we present to you and the way we present it is satisfactory for you. So you come, you take your time to listen. You don't go anywhere else. Even if you go some places, you come here. That is trust. So they say that our leaders have trusted Prince Johnson. That is the question you should be thinking about. The song says we are all Liberians. That song is taking us home. Thank you for watching. Today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be having an exclusive interview with presidential aspirant Clarence K. Monimba. Dr. Clarence K. Monimba is running for president this October of 2023. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, he will be my guest here at the Hour of Politics, and we will be talking about his presidential run? What makes him think that he is a suitable contender for the post? Does he have a chance? What plans does he have for Liberia? You don't want to miss that interview at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Focus on Liberia. With me, your guy Anthony here, asking serious question for a serious country that some of you don't take serious. I will take leave of you now and leave you with this beautiful song that says, "We are all Liberians." This was just for an analysis. I'm sorry we are not reading comments because we don't want to go above 1 hour. Thank you always for watching, for sharing, for liking, and always talking. On that note, the song "We Are All Liberians" takes us home right now.
We are Liberians.